Boko. Citus or Candi Boko. Formerly was the central meeting place for envoys from around the world in the three periods of the previous advanced civilization of the Indonesian archipelago. The characters spoke to the large number of guests at the Boko site who at that time did not need electronics for loudspeakers. Delivering or speech of the speaker to the audience with a super sophisticated technique, namely propagation through solid objects without electrical or electric energy. There are many kinds of causes that can happen as above and can be investigated and observed with a scientific approach even though it is not perfect to explain it. Because science is currently limited. The easy approach to this explanation is both natural and will. The meaning of the word will. Here is something that science cannot translate at this time. This is what is called dark energy, which in the division of the quadrant the value is 95% unknown and the 5% is called material or is considered already known. There are many types of transduction processes, which converts energy from other forms into sonic energy, producing sound waves. There is one basic equation describing the propagation of sound waves, the acoustic wave equation, but the phenomena arising from it are varied and often complex. Waves carry energy throughout the propagation medium. Finally, this energy is transduced again into another form, in a way that may again be natural and/or made with calculations and precision. The final effect may be purely physical or can extend far into the biological or will domains. The word acoustics comes from the Greek word acoustikos, which means from to hear, ready to hear, and that of acoustos, acoustic, heard, which in turn comes from the verb akoo, I hear. The Latin synonym is sonic, which later the term sonic was used to become a synonym for acoustic and later the branch acoustic. Acoustic principles and surface seismic methods are based in the theory of wave propagation found at the Boko site. The frequencies above and below the audible range are called ultrasonic and infrasonic, respectively. Acoustics are defined by ANSI ASA S1.1-2013 as 1. Science, including production, transmission and effects, including biological and psychological effects. 2. The quality of the room which, together, determines the character with respect to the hearing effect. At the J. Pritzker Pavilion, in his research on acoustics named this system with Larry's his main research on artificial, omnidirectional, sound sources in the anechoic room. Acoustics is a branch of physics that deals with the study of all mechanical waves in gases, liquids and solids including topics such as vibration, sound, ultrasound and infrasound. Hearing is one of the most important ways of survival in the animal world. And speech is one of the most distinctive characteristics of human culture and development. So here the audience or the recipient is not absolutely dominant in using the senses of the listener. It is also necessary to sensitize other senses from the physical body. In this case, the predecessors of the Indonesian archipelago used the acceleration technique, mitochondria, to function energy in their bodies using the Topobrata methodology. The visualization appeared at Borobudur. The methodology of Topobrata must be done by every individual in the past. Only certain people can reach near the level of human perfection and can do things like the above. The central stage in the acoustic process is the propagation of waves. It belongs to the physical acoustic domain. In fluids, sound propagates primarily as pressure waves. In solids, mechanical waves can take many forms including longitudinal waves, transverse waves and surface waves. Acoustics first looks at the pressure and frequency levels of sound waves and how they interact with the environment. In Boko, this interaction can be described as diffraction, interference and reflection or a combination of the three. Let's remember again about the sentence below. Such people have not yet received the 1/10 of what we have given to the former people. What is meant is, former people are the Kakya Saka people, the ancestors of the Nusantara nation. The literacy of the word Mahachakya is printed on panel number 43 on the bas-reliefs of Borobudur. Mahe is great-great. Kakya is Kaka, Saka. The inscription has the number of the year Kaka. Another panel also has 12 words. Svarga, not. Nirvana, Nibbana. Wana Chaka Fala is now published as Borobudur, and the site of Boko was not built in the 8th century AD and was not based on any Indian teachings, but the teachings described on this site and recorded perfectly in Bali underlie the birth and growth of two teachings in there. Telepathy is the transmission of information sent from one person to another without the use of human sensory channels or physical interaction. The term was coined in 1882 by Frederick W. H. Myers, founder of the Society for Psychical Research. According to historians Roger Luckhurst and Janet Oppenheim, the origin of the concept of telepathy in Western civilization can be traced to the late 19th century. When the physical sciences made significant advances, scientific concepts were applied to mental phenomena. Parapsychology describes several forms of telepathy. 1. Latent telepathy, formerly deferred telepathy, is described as the transfer of information via psi, with an observable time lag between transmission and reception. 2. Retrocognitive, precognitive and intuitive telepathy is described as the transfer of information, through psi, about the past, future or present state of mind of an individual to another. 3. Emotional telepathy, known as distance influence or emotional transfer, is the process of transferring kinesthetic sensations through altered states. 4. Conscious telepathy involves tapping into the subconscious to access the collective wisdom of the human species for knowledge. Telepathic experiments have historically been criticized for a lack of control and precise repetition. There is no conclusive evidence that telepathy exists, and telepathy is generally considered by the scientific community to be pseudoscience. That is, science currently considers telepathy to be impossible and non-existent. This is evidence of a deadlock. Science cannot know and explain the telepathic phenomenon from the existing facts. Let's just say that what science does not currently know is the T-particle. Humans on Earth originally had the modest capacity to detect T-particles originating in the universe. Basic sensory receptors for human neurons that have been modified. This can be engineered through highly advanced technology. This has happened in the previous advanced civilizations of the archipelago. Telepathic communication is not limited by the distance of space and time, through the limitations of material or something beyond matter that is not currently known, particle T. The T-particle can move between two locations, for example the sun and the brain, by conventional propagation through normal space, and has been shown to be a normal component of the ultrafast solar wind, moving much slower than the speed of light. However, virtual T-particles and T-particles can also interact with the exchange of ultrarelativistic neutrinos that can propagate over compact dimensions, enabling extremely fast transfer of information over long distances. Language-like telepathic information transfer relies on neutrino resonance between T-particle arrays in two telepathically paired brains, telestids. About 5,000 years ago, the rare phenotype in humans allowed some capacity for consciousness. Telepathic consciousness first undergoes positive selection. Javanese tradition of calling someone from afar using the media of water barrel, the scent leaves of the target's favorite clothes. The process of summoning a long-distance person by putting water into the pot, about half of it, squatting in front of the pot while focusing your mind or concentration. By imagining, seeing the figure of the person who wanted to be called in the pot. Kimpil leaves that are placed in front of the mouth like a funnel, facing into the pot. Then the telepathic process will take place and occur. This is not because of the media but because the person who calls and is called is already in a position of one frequency, the level of physical and spiritual maturity. The process of spiritual contemplation for the improvement of human quality existed in the past before there was a teaching called religion on earth. The process is tapabroto, depicted on a stupa statue at the site of Sangharam of Wana Kaka Fala, which is now published, called Borobudur. This is not a statue of the great noble man of the king who was born in India. This statue sitting cross-legged is a procession of contemplation of the ancestors of the Indonesian nation of the Aryan Saka, Sakya Kakya, written on the bas-relief with the literacy of Mahe Kakya words. Tapa Brata, the term Parayong in area. Java calls it Tapabroto. Bali chants Upasana. Tapo Batagak in Svarnadvipa Kamala in Sulawesi. If you are doing so, it is called a Kamala. Moksartham Jagaditaya, the happiness of the afterlife. Moksa. Contemplation. Tapa, or topo. Restraint to attain the spiritual level of brata, discipline. Procedures are done to be able to improve the quality of humanity through the teachings of Dharma or Dhamma. To know God then unite in will, hyang widi tungal, not united in zat. So telepathy can be done for humans who have approached perfection, and this has happened to the ancestors of the archipelago. Until it spread to 3/4 of the earth and its teachings thrive in the land of India and Tibet underlies Buddhism, Jainism and Hinduism there. Dharmak originated and studied in Svarnadvipa depicted on the Borobudur site recorded perfectly in Bali. The book, The Stars My Destination. A. Bester's work reveals that by the year 2510 human teleportation would become commonplace, and when it did, other means of transportation became obsolete because humans could go anywhere in space in an instant. The past, the future and the present are not fiction. There is a relationship, entanglement, which is not limited by space and time. According to physics, there is energy that has an effect span of up to 5,000 years, even millions of years. The meaning. The past with the present is connected without the need for time, and there is a entanglement, relationship that is not limited by distance and time. What is clearer is, the past and the present are connected without the need for time, because there is an entanglement, relationship that is not limited by space and time, because there is a pattern of constants, whose range of influence and way of working remains the same over time. Derek Parfit, in his book, Divided Minds and the Nature of Persons, 1987. Parfit asks readers to imagine entering the teletransporter, a machine that makes you sleep. It records your molecular composition, breaks it down into atoms and sends them to Mars at the speed of light. On Mars, other machines recreate you from deposits of carbon, hydrogen and so on, each atom in exactly the same relative position. You are already on Mars in the same shape and properties. The teletransportation paradox or teletransport paradox, also known in its alternative form as the duplicate paradox, is a thought experiment on the philosophy of identity that challenges common intuition about the nature of the self and consciousness. If we understand the description above, it is proven true what this proclaimed. Meanwhile, these people have not yet received a tenth of what we have given to those former people. He will be sent back to earth, exactly as when he was raised. Mukso. Nahyang. Hibernation. Disappears. This was done by the ancestors and kings of the archipelago. They still exist to monitor and protect it to restore the glory of the Indonesian archipelago in the future. A display of proportional precision depicting the artifact, consistently and repeatedly is characteristic of the event. True, occurring in this relief of a person with a hovering position as evidence of our ancestral advancement over current science. Let's prove it. About levitation. Levitation is to travel shortening the distance of space and time, where an object floats without mechanical support. Levitation is performed by exerting an upward force that counteracts the pull of gravity, which is the process by which an object hovers against Earth's gravitational force in a stable position. Our ancestors were already at level 10, had been and were able to perform levitation without tools and appeared in many reliefs of Borobudur, while science is currently at level 1, just knowing levitation includes optical levitation, radiation pressure levitation, electrostatic levitation, magnetic levitation, aerodynamic levitation. We try to understand the historical facts of our ancestors with the lens of science today. The meaning. The ability of science level 1 tries to understand level 10 science. It can be compared. The ability of bicycle technology tries to understand aircraft technology. Magnetic levitation. Whether humans can do it. In the natural sciences, if the magnetic pole difference is close, it will attract, and if the same poles will repel each other. If the Earth is a magnetic pole and humans also create a similar magnetic field, humans can certainly resist the pull of the Earth's magnetic pole. In this way, the human being physically accelerates the core elements in his body to form a magnet so that the body has a magnetic field similar to the Earth's magnetic field. In this situation, the body will definitely float because of the magnetic field of the Earth and similar bodies, and the body is repelled by the magnetic field. Earth. How the elements in the human body can be conditioned. Our ancestors did. Reliefs of humans are groups of flying humans depicting the track record of advances in the previous civilization of the archipelago, one of which is levitation. This is not an imaginary image. With spiritual contemplation maximizing the energy power of the body in the mitochondria, activates the ATP fusion process, creating a magnetic force field similar to Earth's poles, making the physical body resist Earth's gravitational magnetic field and float away. ATP is a nucleoside triphosphate containing adenosine which releases free energy when its phosphate bonds are hydrolyzed. This energy is used to drive endergonic reactions. Mitochondria use energy from a concentration gradient of hydrogen ions to make adenosine triphosphate, ATP fusion reactor of oxygen and hydrogen elements in the smallest parts of the human body named energy-producing mitochondria. In physics, energy is a physical property of an object, can move through fundamental interactions, which can be transformed but cannot be created or destroyed, which is known as the law of conservation of energy, uses energy from a concentration gradient of hydrogen ions to make adenosine triphosphate. The energy-generating ATP creates a magnetic field similar to the Earth's magnet so that it repels each other between the body and the Earth. So difficult is the ability of science results level 1 trying to explain level 10 science. This can be likened to the ability of bicycle technology to try to understand and explain aircraft technology. That's the description of the above explanation. Our ancestors were in the process of making humans reach a certain level to the ability to levitate easily, because what was built was the human, not his human infrastructure. One way is the procession of tapa brata, contemplation. The term parayangan, Java refers to tapabroto, Bali calls upasana. Tapo, Batagak in Svarnadvipa, Kamala in Sulawesi. If you are doing so, it is called a kamala. Vwana Chaka Phala is now published as Borobudur, with the original teaching philosophy of the archipelago, not from India. His spiritual contemplation. Topo. 1. Toponing bodies. 2. Toponing lust. 3. Toponing buddhi. 4. Toponing suksmau. 5. Toponing kahio. 6. Toponing jessing. The 3 stages of building form Vwana Chaka Phala are descriptions explaining Vwana Traya. Vwana means universe, or realm of existence. Bhavanatraya are the 3 planes of existence that exist in this universe. Not Kama Rupa Arupa Dhatu, the Indian term. The 3 realms of existence are reflected in the 3 stages of Vwana Chaka Phala. 1. Bhavana lasting, eternal realm. 2. Bhavana Driyo, outward nature. 3. Bhavana Triya, alam rohaniya. Moksartham jagahita yasya iti dharma. Moksa. Contemplation of tapa, or topo, restraint to reach the spiritual level, brata, discipline. Procedures are done to be able to improve the quality of humanity among its levitation. Previous ancestors of the archipelago were able to do teleportation, telepathy, levitation, also penetrate the sky across the universe and manage the moon. The meteorite material found today in the artifacts is evidence that our ancestors were not primitive. By Santo Saba.
Na 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 na